Welcome back to the AI-driven marketer. Dan Sanchez here, and I want to talk a little bit about how AI's not replacing jobs right now, but is upskilling them pretty dramatically. And today I want to talk about me as a graphic designer. I actually started my career as a designer, and even if you do not have a design background, this topic will still be relevant to you because I find that marketers often have to address design or give art direction to designers and work a lot with graphic designers. So oftentimes you have to fiddle with this stuff whether you have a background in it or not. The cool thing about AI is that it's helping marketers and designers like level up their skill. Like if you were a 2 out of 10 on the graphic design skill level, AI is going to help you become a 4. Which is still really isn't that good, but gosh dang it, it's a lot better than you were before. It's double, you know. I consider myself like a B- designer. I'm better than someone coming out of community college, but I clearly I'm not an A+ designer. I left design a long time ago, and I kind of plateaued as far as how good my design can be. But I find with AI tools, I think I'm hitting A- some of the times, you know. I'm not A+, but it's still pretty good. And I want to show you a design identity I made recently. Using AI and a couple different AI tools, but specifically Midjourney in order to quickly concept ideas and get it done faster than I would have ever been able to. And I also not only got work done faster, but at a higher quality than I've ever been able to do before on a logo design. So let's take a look. This is also going to be, we're talking about graphic design, so it's going to be a little bit more visual. If you're on Apple Podcasts, just open up the app and you'll be able to follow along because Apple supports video. Who knew? If you're on, you can go watch it on YouTube. You can go find it on AI-drivenmarketer.com, all the places where you can watch this video. But if you're listening along, I'll try my best to describe it along the way. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit more of a visually intense podcast. So you might want to save this, skip to the next one, and save this one for later to watch, or just open it up on your phone. So let's dive into it. My friend is a chiropractor here in Chapel Hill, Tennessee, and opened up a new office, needed a new logo. And I just decided hey, let's trade services. You do some chiropractic work for my family. I'll design you a logo, and I'm doing a little bit of marketing work and a website, for Keys Chiropractic here in Chapel Hill. You can see, I'm going to open up the screen here. He has a visual, his visual design for his office is very I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's like almost like national park, like woodsy. He's got lots of wood texture, some metal going on here, lots of national park vintage posters, and even the little trinkets and things that he sells has this vintage park look, where his wife Susan has designed a lot of cool little stickers and patches and different things. So I was like, I like this aesthetic. And most chiropractor logos, they look like this abstract spine thing. It's they all look like that. And that's what his former logo looked like. So it's let's go with this theme. This is cool. People in this community really dig the outdoors. I think it'll work. So we concepted some ideas and kind of wanted to go around this national park vintage badge looking thing. You know, the patches. If you go into any national park store, you're going to find some patches. You've probably seen the Yosemite logo. Things looking like that, but in a brightly colored, cool way. Something you'd want to throw in your water bottle. You know, it's that kind of a feel, badge, sticker, something you'd sew on a jacket or a backpack or something like that. We've all seen these. They're really nice looking. And I'm let's make a logo that's kind of reminiscent of that. And let's focus on a pine tree because pine trees are run really straight. And chiropractors are dealing with the spine. So that was kind of the design thinking around it. While you can go way more intense and do way more research on a logo, I mean, it's just not necessary here because it's a local chiropractor. It doesn't have to be optimized for a national, international audience where you're going to have all these different perspectives on it, right? We're trying to create something memorable, fun, that reinforces what they already have going on here. So we went to Midjourney, and I actually just did this with them side by side. Oh, here it is. And just started asking. I started entering prompts like a collection of adventure badges that depicts different symbols in a style of plein air landscapes, light beige, orange, bold patterns, typography, palette knife work. I don't know. I think this one it made its own prompt for this. What's kind of cool about these prompts is you can actually upload a picture of what you want for a logo. Maybe you have some inspiration. You can actually upload it and then say describe. You can actually go here and make a prompt that says describe in Midjourney and upload an image. And you can upload the image and it will literally describe it in 4 different ways. And you can just click hey, okay, now that you've described it, make it. And it goes and makes it. And that's kind of what I did here. Let's see if I can close down this prompt here so we can actually see what I got. So that's what I did with these images. You can see I started with some fun color palettes here and some badges, and then it went through and made a whole bunch of logos. Like, look at the variety of work here. Look how many different options we were looking at. And of course, sometimes it's off. It's making like tree paintings here. But you can see it's getting closer, and as you start honing in the prompt, you get a little farther, a little closer. You can see, I'm just going to quickly scroll through here as we're looking at like dozens and dozens of options. You can see I started getting, I'm like, oh, this is looking sticker-ish. Maybe you need needs to be more of a logo. And you kind of go back and forth on these prompts for a while, but it honestly just doesn't take that long. You're probably talking about 30 minutes of like trying and tinkering with the prompts to get closer and closer to what you want here, right? So at the end of the day, I ended up picking a few, and we kind of narrowed it down to these options. I had about 5. And this is the point where it's like, to get to just even 5 concepts, like 5 good concepts that you can work off of from here, takes a long time. This is where a lot of the design work goes, into designing a couple of solid options. So you can see I have 5. They all have the pine tree in the middle. Some are more colorful, some are more muted. They all have a little bit of a different design aesthetic, but they're all kind of in this like national park badge feel with like that vintage park badge logo looking thing. So it's like, okay, Dan, but how did you get it to the next level? The next step we took is actually going from here and bringing it into Illustrator. You can see these were the two that they looked the closest at, and they're like, okay, we like these two. Can you mash them together? We like that this one has the pine tree in the middle and kind of a grouping of pine trees on the outside, but we like the color scheme of this one. So I went and made this one. And now once you have these like the only thing Midjourney gives you on these logos is a raster image, which is a problem. The cool thing is if you ask it to be fairly flat in Discord or in Midjourney, it'll give you it'll be a flattened, but it'll be a fairly flat design without gradients and stuff. And you can bring it in and like just live trace it. If you're familiar with Illustrator, essentially does its best to turn it into a vector graphic. And I did that, removed all the colors, and then kind of rebuilt it piece for piece in Illustrator. Now, this is where it takes a little bit more technical skill, because Illustrator is a difficult tool if you haven't used it before. I'm zooming in now to kind of like show as I hover over the different little parts of the pine tree and the moon in the background and the different shade color bars that make up this like sunset effect going on here, that there's outlines around it because we're in Illustrator now. I can manipulate all the little individual parts. This part takes a little bit more technical skill, but that's what it is. To be able to change a flat image into a fully vectorized piece by piece image is not a talent skill, it's just a technical skill. I already know the technical parts of Illustrator and know how to break it down into all its little components and how to wrap text around a circle and all that kind of stuff. Like, I knew that part. What I didn't know is how to make a pine tree, right? Because it's a logo design, but honestly, like to this point, like this is actually getting more into illustration, and I'm not an illustrator. I can't illustrate a vector like forest and pine tree and stuff. That's actually hard. It takes some more skill than what I have, which is why I'm like, hey, not only was it faster to produce a bunch of different cool concepts like we were looking at before, not only was it so much easier to get to like 5 really cool concepts for the logo within the design range we were looking for, but this level of logo is something that I was not capable of before. I had to stick with much simpler logos or just go and buy a logo and then modify it afterwards. Now with AI, I was able to get to not only more faster, but to a higher quality logo than I had before. It's turned me in from a B- to an A- logo. And kind of to show like the last reveal here, I ended up taking it all and turning it into a little bit of a style guide. And I'm just picking fonts and matching it all with different things here. But you can see it's made a really nice visual aesthetic for them as a chiropractor. And it's just really cool. I took the rest of my design skills, and now the AI's filled in some of the things I couldn't do, and I filled it in with what I knew to do to make this a nice visual brand. So I'm really happy with where this is at. I really feel like AI is taking me to like a whole new level creatively. Like it's not just it's AI is not here to steal creativity, but to enhance it. I feel like I can go into more creative directions now than I've ever been able to do on just a visual level, but of course in my written level, on my content producing level, it's unlocking all kinds of ideas that I now have. I'm like, oh, I can make cool social content or do a series that would have been way too expensive to produce before. I can now do with like ChatGPT and Midjourney and DALL-E much more quickly now, and if you know a little bit about the technical skills, even with just Canva or Photoshop, you can go so much farther, so much faster. So it is such an exciting time to be alive as a solopreneur, as a marketer, as someone who has creative ideas but didn't always have the technical expertise in order to execute many of them. So I hope you're watching this and are a little more inspired to go and play with these tools and take on creative challenges that maybe you would have shied away from before. As you master these tools, you'll start to notice your own capabilities expanding at a faster and greater rate, which is why I'm trying to bang the drum and tell everybody, hey, learn design, because it'll extend what you're able to do, how fast you're able to go, and the quality of what you're able to do.